So let's have a little look at our settings that we can get set up for FC26 to make sure that you play in the best possible way. Going into the gameplay settings itself, by default have the preset for competitive. Obviously that's what you're going to play in your Ultimate Team games anyway. Offline mode you can change it to something else, but just leave it as competitive. Shot assistance, make sure this is set to precision. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to, but don't have it on assisted anymore. Go for precision. It just makes the shots ping off that boot very fast and go past the goalkeeper. Right, it's unreal. Just go for precision. It might take a few days, it might take a week to get used to it, but once you've mastered it, there's no going back. Semi pass assists for through balls and lobs and ground pass, same with cross and lobs, etc. Pass receiver lock, leave that late. The reason being is if you look to do a pass and you want to go sort of one way, and then at the very last minute you think that's going to get intercepted or you're going to get blocked by a tackle coming in or something, you can always change it to the other way. So I always leave that on late as opposed to early or anything else. Precision pass sensitivity depends on if you want to do precision pass sensitivities or a precision pass at all. I'll leave that at high. Clearance assistance, you have the option here between directional and classic. It doesn't really make a great deal of difference, to be honest. Classic will just boot the ball out, just get rid of it. Quickest possible way to get rid of it, and that's why I leave it on classic. Directional, you have to do the direction of it as to where you want to clear it, whereas classic will do the direction for you. I prefer classic in my personal opinion. Defending, you do have a couple of options here. You have the tactical defending, where the AI will sort of choose or which sort of defense you want to go with. So you'll try and do a standing tackle, and it'll decide whether it wants to do the shoulder barge or whether it wants to do a standing tackle. Whereas advanced defending, you have to dictate as to which way you want to go with that. So you either press square for a standing tackle or X to do a shoulder attempt. You can try it with the advanced and try it with a tactical, whichever way you think's best. I prefer the advanced. Then I'm in full control as to whether I want a shoulder barge or whether I want to do a standing tackle. Professional fouls on, I think that's an offline setting anyway. Pass block assistance levers on. Auto switching only on air balls and loose balls. That's the only time that you want the auto switching on. And the auto switching move assistance is completely off. Get that off. Right stick switching, you have again a couple of options. You don't really want adaptive, and you don't want player rotation, because player rotation will just go around the full team until you get to the player that you want. I prefer to have it on classic, and I prefer to have it on ball relative as opposed to player relative. The reason being is if that ball gets pumped a long way downfield, sort of either way, then you can switch to the player based on the ball position as opposed to the player position. So if you try and switch based on the player position, you might be cycling through a few players until you get to that centre back or that striker, whichever way. So best to have it on the ball, because it's always going to be relative to the ball as opposed to your player might be in a different place that you're moving from and where you want to get to. So that would be my position preference on that. Right stick switching on sensitivity I've left as 4. I don't think you need to change that necessarily. Next player switching, again, classic. Reaction time calibration, get that off. Just get it off. Doesn't matter. Just get it off. Player locking, if you do player locking, great. If you don't do player locking, just knock it off. It's just whatever you want to do on that. I don't do a great deal of player locking, so I typically leave that as off anyway. Simplified skill moves. So it's something new this year. Now, if you're not a great skiller, maybe put that on. If you flick the right stick in the box, it'll do an automatic skill for you. If you do want to do specific skill moves, if you had that switched on, it might mean that it picks up a different skill move altogether, so it might not be the best for you. But yeah, I'd prefer to leave that off, and then if you do a skill move, it dictates sort of based on your input as opposed to this, which might just choose a completely random one. Goalkeepers, I don't touch. Analog sprint, get that off. So it's all dependent on how far you pull in that right trigger for the sprinting, or it's just get it off. Just as soon as you pull that sprint button, you want to be off. Just get down that wing. Trigger effect, again, get that off. You don't want that getting done. And then vibrations, it's completely up to you. I think it puts me off a couple of times when I feel the vibrations through the controller, so I just switch that off. Gameplay, you don't need to change a great deal of these. I think a lot of this is offline mode anyway. Yeah, it is. And then game type settings, you've got competitive, obviously, but I don't think there's not a great deal else here for online mode what you'd have in Ultimate Team, but we'll go through at the bottom just to double check. Yeah, nothing in there. Same with CPU sliders, doesn't impact it at all. Camera settings. Now, there's two cameras that I'd probably say you go for. So you've got the Ultimate Team competitive camera, which I'm sure I set that to disabled earlier. It's gone back to enabled, so maybe there's a little bug in the settings. But I go for co-op, and I go for a custom setting within the camera height and the zoom, etc. But which we'll get to in a moment. But yeah, you can go with co-op or you can go with tele broadcast. Sorry, co-op or tele. I wouldn't go for tele broadcast. I don't prefer that. But tele or co-op. I think co-op. It zooms out a little bit more. You see more of the pitch. See where players are moving to. We see where the space is, etc. I prefer to have co-op through all of my gameplay modes. And then for rush, I've gone for tactical as opposed to broadcast. The reason being, I think tactical moves along the pitch as opposed to broadcast, which will stay fairly central and sort of pivot a little bit. So yeah, tactical's my way to go. Power zoom shot, get that off. It'll zoom in when you do a power shot or the other opponent does a power shot. Just get it off. Doesn't need it. And then for the custom settings for the camera, I prefer to go for height of 20 and zoom of 0. That gives you the maximum amount of space on the pitch or view of the pitch itself. And then the height, just tilt it up a little bit more. And yeah, I think that's the best for that. But let me know your thoughts in the comments if you do want to take any of these settings into your gameplay. I think these are the best, and let me know what you think if you do use any of these settings in those comments below. Until next time, take care and peace.